Pastor Sageze Iyamu, candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in the September 19 governorship election in Edo State, speaks with journalists on his preparation for the election, his simple agenda and other issues. In this era of COVID-19 pandemic, how are you going to ensure that your campaign reaches to the people at the grassroots where most of the voters are? And he said, I must confess to you that the campaigning in this era of COVID-19 pandemic is not an easy task, but we must not stop. So we are breaking ourselves into units so that we can actually do the door-to-door campaign. We are de-emphasizing huge rallies and focusing on small meetings. Again, we now need to actually spend more time on dissemination of information through the media, which means that we need the television, radio, and newspapers. But there's this belief that some loyalists of Governor Godwin Obaseki, who did not defect to the People's Democratic Party (PDP) with him, might play the role of moles during the election. How is APC going to deal with this issue? He said, yes, we know that there are moles within the party, but I want to assure you that we will deal with that. I will not elaborate on our plan to deal with that, but we will deal with that. Tension is building up in Edo State ahead of the election. How can violence be averted before, during, and after the poll? And Iyamu said, we have said that we want this election to be issued based. We don't even want to resort to name calling. Let us focus on our agenda. I can assure you that we as party will do everything possible to avoid violence during the election, and we hope that the other parties, especially the PDP, will do the same because of what is already playing out. They have campaign billboards and posters across the state. In fact, they started erecting such billboards before us, but we approached the agency of government in charge and asked about available spaces and the cost. They told us, and we paid, only to find out that a top official of the government said, how can APC be allowed to have campaign billboards at strategic locations? The next thing that happened was that they began to remove our campaign billboards, but we have petitioned the Commissioner of Police in Edo State and the State Director of the Department of State Services, DSS. Our campaign organization also addressed a press conference where it made clear that the PDP must be accommodating and tolerant as well as avoid anything that will trigger violence. We could have taken the law into our hands, but we didn't do that. From that time till now, they have not mentioned that one of their billboards was destroyed by our supporters. So I am assuring you that there will be no violence during the election, as we will do our best and will cooperate with the security agents to make sure that the election is peaceful. Have you been able to address those factors that worked against you in the 2016 governorship election? He said, if you had followed that election, you would have found out that despite the fact that I was coming from an opposition party in the state at that time, it was not easy for the ruling party. They had to postpone the election a day to it and brought it back after 18 days. And when the results started coming out and I was leading, but you saw the drama that ensued. Announcements of the results had to be stopped. By the time they came back, the whole thing had changed. But when the Supreme Court says a particular person won, you don't have to argue. However, I can assure that everything that happened then have been addressed, and this time it is our time. Then Governor Adams Oshiomole said all sorts of things about you during the last election. But you are working with him now. How do you react to that? He said, yes, Oshiomole threw punches at me in 2016, but people tend to have short memory. Oshiomole was at Bensi Dahusa University when I was being given a doctorate degree. he spent over 1 hour praising me for my contributions to in his government and the role I am playing in the state. Oshiomole also came to my farm at one time when I was graduating student, and he listed the roles I was playing in the state. At my 50th birthday, there were there was no word he didn't use to describe me, including the fact that if he wants to mention those who have helped him to succeed in government, there is no way my name will not be there. So if during the campaign for the 2016 governorship election, he was abusing me because I was on the other side, what do you expect? Of course, he needed to abuse me, especially when he didn't have a good product. You can imagine how Governor Gordon Obaseki started his campaign for the forthcoming election. They placed a big screen on Ring Road in Benin where everybody passes, and one would have thought that all he would be playing on that kind of screen are achievements of his administration in the last 4 years. Instead of that, he's playing about the governor of Kano State. It was when condemnation came from within and outside Nigeria that they had to stop it. What has the governor of Kano State got to do with governorship election in Edo State, apart from being the chairman of APC National Campaign Council? I am sure that those who had gone through campaigns before will tell you that people will call their opponents all sorts of names during electioneering campaigns. But if you allow those things to bother you, then they will distract you. In fact, I confessed somewhere that they succeeded 4 years ago because I had my simple agenda, but I didn't talk about it as I spent all the time replying their insults. Everyone knew that I had the simple agenda, but I didn't talk about what I had, which they never had. This time, I will not allow myself to be distracted. I will tell Edo people about my simple agenda. Are you going to do are you going are you going to limit yourself, okay, to just one term in office if you win election? And he said, when you are elected, are you elected to serve for 2 terms? You serve one term at a time, and one term is 4 years, not 8 years. So in terms of planning, don't leave any of your projects to run for an 8-year period or 20-year period. If you want people to appreciate what you are doing, or what you want your agenda to be measurable and achievable, let it be within the period of your tenure. So when I say 4 years, I am clearly conscious of the number of years a tenure is. Again, we are not God, and nobody knows who will be alive tomorrow, and death is not determined by age or position. So don't we talk about what is on ground. So why don't we talk about what is on ground, what is on ground, and leave the future to God? Okay, what is your take on security votes, and what is your take on security votes, and are you going to stop it? I won't say that I will stop security votes, because what is important is what you use it for. I can't make security a cardinal point of my agenda and there are no security votes. It is ridiculous. How do you handle security matters without financial votes? But the money you put in will determine or reflect the seriousness you attach to that area. So for me, part of the security votes, apart from going to the security agencies, should also go to vigilante groups. They should not be working for gratis. How can communities raise people who are guarding farmlands and rural roads, and government will not send them anything as support? Today, all the forests in Edo State have been taken over by criminals. If security votes were well managed by the present administration in the state, those forests would have been cleaned out. So let us use security votes judiciously and not see it as money for the governor. Okay, so guys, those are the interviews Iyamu really granted. He has said a lot of things, that is this, is that, is not going to be distracted, that all the things Oshiomole said about him, were just to discredit him, and Oshiomole said all manner of things, and this and this and this and that. I think at this junction, Oshiomole is the one who is going back and forth. Oshiomole has been going back and forth. Is the one who is manipulating, is trying to manipulate Edo people, is manipulating the people, all the people around him. You could see the way he was begging. But believe you me, I don't think whether Iyamu will be as calm as Obaseki, whether he's going to allow all the things that Obaseki is accusing Oshiomole of, whether he's going to allow that. That is the problem we have in this country. As a people, we are not consistent. There's this integrity we are talking it's very, very far away from all these our so-called leaders. You can imagine Oshiomole, he will say this one, he will say that one, he will say this one. So the same thing, Iyamu should also know that everything that Oshiomole is saying and himself is saying about Obaseki, at the end of the day, they will still come back and tell you that it's all politics. They don't even mean all of those. So at the end of the day, it is the people, we are calling on the people of Edo State to come out and do their thorough finding, their thorough investigation as to know who they are going to vote for. Of course, it's still going to be trial by error, because these politicians cannot be trusted. That's one thing. They will say all manner of things, fine things, but once they get there, they become demigods. They become something different. They begin to give you excuses. They begin to do window dressing projects. They begin to do things that will not even have a direct impact in the lives of the people. Those are the projects they will be involved in, and you will be surprised of the amount you are going to be hearing from them. Very, very big amount of money, yet nothing to show for it. When he has made his own point, let us know what you think about what he has said. Now, someone says here that Oshiomole is abusing Obaseki now because Iyamu is a bad product. Exactly. It's really, really funny. Pastor calling somebody bad product now. Wow. Now Oshiomole is abusing Obaseki now. Does that mean that it's a bad product, or is he speaking from both sides of his mouth? Exactly. Those are simple questions that are putting up to Pastor Iyamu. So guys, let us know what you think of what he has said. Leave your comments, please, respectfully in the comment section. Thank you.